Пиу-пиу. Я в эфире. Так, я, короче, я предварительно запустил игру, а, и он меня опять спросил про часы в игре. Типа, какое сейчас время? Я вбил, а дальше он почему-то предлагает мне что-то сказать. Вот, это интересно, конечно. Так, после того, как вбил время, вылезло. Погодите-ка. Пока не начали, могу я кое-что сказать? Спасибо, что правильно выставили время оба раза, что запускали игру. Многие относятся к этому как-то несерьезно, оставляют часы на 12:00 и торопятся дальше. А вы потратили время, чтобы выставить часы. Я это ценю. Это говорит мне о том, что вы играете внимательно, что для вас важны детали. А я ведь даже не знаю, правильно ли вы время выставили. Знаете что? Давайте договоримся. Я вам так доверяю, что при следующем запуске игры просто выставите на этом экране свое любимое время. Выбирайте любое время, даже если оно неправильное. Вы заслужили. А теперь можем вернуться к игре. Вот тролль, а. Так, я немножко там почитал, чуть-чуть совсем, как приблизительно до некоторых концовок добраться.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427.
Это мы все видели уже. Одна из концовок, если я правильно понимаю. О, получено
Stanley
достижение
simply
с
couldn't handle
возвращением.
the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained
Одна из концовок как раз-таки связана с тем, чтобы просто дверь закрыть и не выходить из комнаты вообще.
for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy.
Ты что-то говорила? Ну а я что сделаю? Мне ты сейчас что предлагаешь сделать?
Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt,
Придется отлучиться. Я быстро. Я вернулся. Так, игра, не тормози.
Was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer.
Ага,
Here it comes.
привет. Оп. Перезагрузка. Так, одна из концовок как раз-таки была связана с тем, чтобы остаться в комнате.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Если я не ошибаюсь,
Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
можно попробовать выпрыгнуть в окно. Да? Он садится? Он может сесть? Да, может сесть. Есть.
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Что тут? Что тут выбрать? Тебе надоел этот прикол? Да, нет. Нет. Как в него ткнуться?
Ah, then in that case we'll continue.
Привет.
But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other options so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
И что? Он меня оставил в этой комнате, и все? Ну, сделай что-нибудь. Блин. Ладно. Перезапускаем.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Пойдем на «да»
Stanley
нажмем.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Да.
Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want, like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain.
Еще музыку добавил.
There once was a man named Stanley, who people considered so manly. But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly. What Stanley liked most was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function. Which is why he is in this parable and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable. Yes. You too will become quite unbearable.
Он опять будет петь, наверное, да? Не, походу, она не заканчивается. Там есть концовка, где нужно 2 часа нажимать на кнопку на одну, а потом еще 2 часа на другую кнопку нажимать. Я это делать не буду. Сразу говорю. Короче, задолбал ты. Идем дальше. Так. Здесь есть одна очень интересная концовка, но до нее надо добраться. Там нужно в определенном порядке, по-моему, нажать на компы. Но мы до нее потом как-нибудь дойдем, если получится. Вот. Нужно вот эти компы, чтобы было написано input receipt. На них надо нажать. Там кто-то в косынку играл.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Давай в левую пойдем.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might...
Где-то тут, короче, есть доска, на которой указаны коллекционные предметы. Для того, чтобы получить, я так понимаю, финальную концовку, нужно собрать, если я не ошибаюсь, 6 фигурок. И в прошлый раз, когда мы стримили, я собрал одну. Нужно еще 5 найти. 5 штук. О, есть концовка, по-моему, с этой дверью.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA. Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused. You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Что он сделает?
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
Но здесь же есть концовка.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers. Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Я жду. Все, что ли? А если выйти и зайти?
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you.
Ну давай.
You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again.
Ну? Ну давай. Странно. Очень странно. Ладно. Хрен с ним.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Вот здесь должна быть коллекционка. Да, вот она.
You found one of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Так. Куда тут можно еще пойти?
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Хрен тебе.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other.
Сейчас
She
закончится
rose, got
концовка.
dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Тут, по-моему, если брать ведро в самом начале, если оно будет, конечно, с этим ведром несколько концовок меняются. Там фразы, по-моему, если я не ошибаюсь.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to
О,
the meeting
кстати,
room.
the
Perhaps he had
end
simply
is
missed a
never.
memo.
The
No
end.
matter how hard Stanley
Never,
looked,
the
he
end
couldn't
is
find
never.
a trace of his co-workers.
Так. А ведра нет. А, вот ведро же.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
Так. Я ткнул 2 компа. Мне еще нужно 3 активировать. Их бы найти, самое главное. Пойдем
Stanley
направо.
clutched the bucket
А хотя нет.
tightly to his chest
Налево.
and entered the door on his left.
Вот. Как раз что касается собиралок. Мне нужно найти 6 фигурок. Я нашел 2. Большая комната, полная коробок. Где-то между красным и синим это 2 двери, которые появляются, если, по-моему, прокатиться на этом. Спрыгнуть на складе на металлический этот мостик. Fireplace? Я не знаю, что это. Где конкретно это находится? A private but smelly place for a important person. Это, наверное, туалет, который, если я не ошибаюсь, был где-то у кабинета начальника. О! Тут же пишут даже про это. Смотри-ка. Туду. Вон, туалет, да, в туалете. Что заставляет их висеть в воздухе? 416. Тут все поменяли, все теперь с этими связано. Что с ними делать? Идеи. Можно ли их продать? Сколько их штук? Подчеркнуто 6. Почему они висят в воздухе? Магия. Магниты. А, 421. Короче, сотрудник из 421, видимо, офиса создал мост. Карго-рум. Чего? 421. Доверься инстинкту этого. Как это? Человек, который все завершает. Надо найти, короче, 421 офис. Так вот. Вот эта штука. Здесь показаны все места. Вот комната, где красная и синяя. Туалет. Вот это лестница, где мы нашли. Видимо, какие-то доски там еще. И, я так понимаю, кабинет начальника. Короче, надо идти. Тут будет награда за... А чё? Комната.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it. Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go.
О,
There. Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion.
наклейку
Take
налепили.
a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
Собственность Стэнли.
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see? I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
Давай еще раз зайдем.
You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Все? Точно все. Идем дальше. Наверх
Coming
надо
to a
подняться.
staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Вот, по-моему, да? Да, еще одна собиралка.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This,
Отличная игра.
there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about Mini stands, Stanley figs. What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Стенуэтка. Да. Я хочу, короче, концовки все выбить, какие тут есть. О! А эта комната была доступна раньше? Серьезно? Я не помню, что в эту дверь зайти можно было. Наверх? Песни поет Стэнли. Старой Сибири. Я проходил только первые две. Еще давным-давно. И недавно, ну как недавно, в прошлом году стримил первую часть. У меня в планах была как бы вторая часть и третья. Я надеюсь, что мы до них доберемся. Я постримил бы. Я помню, чем заканчивается вторая. У меня есть третья, но я, к сожалению, в нее так и не играл. Так что в ближайшее время постримлю. Надо только время найти. Ну, блин, когда это закончится-то? Мы вернулись обратно? А вниз мы можем поехать? Да вы прикалываетесь. Так ничего же не происходит.
Stepping.
Ага. 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 Я успел выйти. Нет, дверь закрылась. Так, а куда теперь? Раз дверь закрылась. Может, назад вернуться? Так, там 421 нам надо было найти. Четыреста 16. 17. Только толку никакого нет. Смотри-ка, дверь открылась. А этой двери раньше не было. Что это? Перезагрузка. You are now leaving. Ну, окей. Ухожу так ухожу. Escape pod. 760. Хорошо. Когда я в оригинальный Stanley Parable играл, я до этого не доходил. Так, нам надо... Еще темно так. Это 755. Красная дверь. Закрыто. Ладно. Видимо, придется 5 этажей еще подняться. Кстати, по поводу квестов. Кроме Сибири, у меня в бэклоге лежит большое количество квестов, которые я когда-то играл, но не прошел. Я хотел бы пройти Full Throttle, потому что когда у меня была возможность его пройти, я его не прошел. И у меня есть ремастер, нужно будет только также время найти на все это дело. Еще есть Петька и Василий Иванович, 3 штуки. Я их тоже не прошел до конца. Если будет возможность, все это нужно постримить. Единственное, меня сейчас очень сильно напрягает то, что я, должен достримить. Ну, как должен? Ну, по факту должен, наверное, достримить Elden Ring. И мне кажется, что это еще надолго. Поэтому я, как-то не берусь за большие проекты, такие, чтобы на 100 часов. Это занимает очень много времени. Я в другие игры не играю. И как бы не всем, наверное, интересно смотреть на одну и ту же игру постоянно. Хотя Elden Ring в этом плане, неплохая. Вот. Я когда начинал стримить, я изначально стримил крупные проекты, которые когда-то дропнул, и у меня не было возможности начать играть в них. Вот. Типа Dragon Age. Я же не проходил ни одной из частей. И вот когда я, сколько там, 1,5 года назад, мои первые стримы как раз были по первому Dragon Age, по второму, потом я Инквизицию прошел, потом вышел сборник Mass Effect, я все 3 части Mass Effect прошел наконец-то. Вот, но в целом я не особо люблю большие проекты, типа стримить их, это сложно. Проще что-нибудь простое, там 2-3 стрима и все, и следующую игру. Ладно. Куда мы вышли? А что такое? Куда идти-то? Дверь. Мы что, ведро отправим? А сами? Что это такое? А если не брать ведро? Можно
All of his
самому
co-workers
залезть?
were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Так, мне нужно найти компы, которые можно активировать. Я так понимаю, они в разнобой появляются. То есть не обязательно, что будет какой-то конкретный. Ведра нет. Ведро улетело. Блин. То вдруг оно мне нужно было для
When Stanley
контента.
came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Так, хорошо. Мы пойдем по левую сторону сейчас.
Oh no, 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 not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
Ладно, он замолчал.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Нам нужно еще найти Сколько? 4 этих фигурки. О! Отлично. Еще 2 компа осталось.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known
Вот здесь же
was that the
камин.
keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Где-то в этой комнате должна быть фигурка, если я не ошибаюсь. Еще одна. Разве нет? Очень странно. Ладно, спустимся вниз, посмотрим.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Лифт сломался.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Блин, а где же тогда еще?
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Тут, по-моему, есть еще один финал. Это как раз через перила перепрыгнуть. Да. Ой.
Aha! You've made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. Welcome! You see, back when the Stanley Parable first launched in 2013, getting to the bottom of the mind control facility was a bug that we simply didn't catch during development. And you all sent us lots of photos of it on Twitter and acted very superior about it. And you're all very, very clever. Good for you. Anyway, when it came time to update the game, we knew that we had to do something about this little goof of ours. So here you go. New content. You can call it the bottom of the mind control room ending, if that enhances your perception of the value of these updates. Isn't that what you crave? New content? Always more content, more content, more. And I'm here to give it to you. I'm here to make it seem like we really covered every nook and cranny of the game with secrets and Easter eggs. How about this? We wrote a new piece of music just for this section. You won't hear it anywhere else in the game. It's a secret that's just for you. That's how special you are. We call this track Good Job You've Made It to the Bottom of the Mind Control Facility. Well done.
Good job, you did it. Good job. 3, 2, 1. Good job, you made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. You jumped on the catwalk. You should have been careful. You should have been careful. It used to be a bug, but now it's an ending. Now it's an ending. I believe in you. I believe in your ability to cross this barrier and chase your dreams. Railings don't mean anything. Good job, you did it. Good job, you did it. Good job, you did it.
Я не знаю.
You did it. Good job, 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 you did it.
Хорошая концовка. Так, смотри-ка, комната поменялась опять. Там ведро стоит. А что она здесь забыла?
And try not to lose this one too, you dolt. Stanley clutched the bucket
Так,
tightly
пойдем
to
направо.
his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned
Нам
out
надо
to be
фигурки
correct?
найти.
Was it? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting
А,
room.
вот это место, да?
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes.
О,
Go
о.
there.
Вон
Go to
фигурка.
the cargo lift.
Я нашел.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley
Еще
figurines.
две осталось.
And now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Так, а дальше-то куда? А, можно вернуться, видимо, да? Это что, вентиляция? Новый контент. Да, это была вентиляция. Что это? Аудиокассеты? Тут написано диалоги этого наратора. Того, кто болтает у нас за кадром. Потерян код. Что тут?
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
Что это было?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to
еще
go to the
одна.
meeting room. Perhaps he had
Так,
simply
остался
missed a
один
memo.
компьютер.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Блин. 421, вот же. Там про мост было.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Так, фигурки. Мне осталось 2. Где-то у камина и двери, красная и синяя. Камин у нас... Ну вот же, на самом деле, это комната начальника. Вон камин, и там дверь открывается. Но только как открыть-то? О! Он заколотил комнату. Подсобка заколочена.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Как попасть в ту комнату, а?
Stepping into his manager's
Вот здесь
office,
где-то.
Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings. Desperate, Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Да блин, открой уже дверь.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Куда ткнуться-то? Где-то здесь должно быть. Мне кажется. Ладно, мы к нему вернемся еще. А, вот она! Вот она, за углом была фигурка.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler Anmarines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler Anmarines. None of us can.
Так, а что будет, если сейчас не в комнату зайти, где у нас куча экранов?
Stanley walked straight
сбежать?
ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
А, здесь музей же, блин.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer.
Нет, это, короче, можно перезапускать. Это музей. Смысла нет в нем. Так, опять у нас все поменялось. Вот у нас последний компьютер. Что произошло? Добро пожаловать в рай. О, кнопочки можно нажимать. Они заново активируются. Так а что делать-то с этим всем? Короче, понятно все. Вот. Все еще висит эта штука.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
Что-то не так? Ведро. А если пойти в ту комнату, где сейчас были...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Где сейчас... Аудиокассеты были. Мы же без ведра.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
А стоп. Мы не туда идем, да? Я уже забыл. Нет же.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Так, нам нужно спуститься вниз
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5
и зайти в
years ago.
вентиляцию. Возможно, изменится что-то.
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun so far off the beaten path. You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
Перезагрузил. Ясно.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Так.
When Stanley
А
came
где
to a
дверь с
set
новым
of two
контентом?
open
Все, что ли?
doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he
Или
wanted to stop
больше
by
не
the
будет
employee
ее?
lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Если я не
Stanley was
ошибаюсь,
so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
можно вот здесь еще
Stanley, I
концовку
think
получить
perhaps we've
другую.
gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life.
Где-то
She's
здесь.
been waiting. That's
Ага.
her, Stanley.
Вот.
You need to be the one to do this.
Если, короче, не брать трубку, можно, я так понимаю,
To reach out
выдернуть
to her.
кабель.
If you can truly place your faith. Oh no,
Вот
no,
так
no,
вот.
no, you can't. Did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Ah, welcome
Oh.
back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Ладно. Что тут? А что поменялось-то? Куда идти?
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying.
Закрыли.
Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Всю платформу оградили забором, чтобы я выйти не мог. Так. Я иду назад. Хорошо.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending. The story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world. Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Так. Что произошло? Нас откатило обратно. Идем в правую.
No! Why did you do that?
Oh.
Quickly, hurry back in the
Я
other direction.
сломался.
Perhaps we're not too late.
Тут все шкафчики переломаны. Так, хорошо. Угу. Коллизия, я смотрю. Даже звук сломанный. Ну ладно, у нас выбора нет, так что идем в левую.
It's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that you... My story! You've destroyed my work! Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
Что происходит?
I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Пойдем в правую ради интереса.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Хорошо.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's
Они
office.
все закрыли. И вниз лестницу. И комнату, подсобку закрыли. И здесь, наверное, закрыто. Да. Тут тоже. Кабинет начальника поменялся.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Ну?
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Мне же не предлагают микрофоном воспользоваться.
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't get on with
Здесь
the
нет
story. This
микрофона.
is a crucial step.
Точнее, нет возможности микрофон использовать. Может, он сам сейчас скажет.
Okay, fine, you're not gonna do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You... When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Это что?
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need
Конец.
you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
Так она... А, все перезагружается. Так. Хорошо.
The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone ever again.
Все, у нас больше не появляется комнаты с новым контентом.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley
Нам надо
knew it
забрать
perfectly
последнюю
well.
фигурку.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first time understood true happiness. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Так, а последняя фигурка у нас,
Stanley
если
was so bad at
спрыгнуть.
following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Вот на.
And there it is, the last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here, and now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Так и в чем прикол?
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here.
А, из этого выйти нельзя, там успокоение только это. А что? Не понял? Все обнулилось?
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines, those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Когда Стэнли нашел все собиралки. Collectibles. Зона памяти. Так, а Мы же все это видели уже.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Семь из 6. Да ладно. Почему 7 из 6? Еще одна.
And here was a second Stanley. I'll be honest, back then I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
8 из 6. Хорошо. Так, там же не было ничего? Нет.
Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini stand? Can you remember?
В этом? В туалете же нашел.
Hey, that's exactly right. It was here in the boss's bathroom. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything.
Хорошо.
Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh, well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room,
Мы не
but
были
it's
в
here
этой
in the
комнате.
memory zone, so it must have happened.
Яблоко. Как тут выйти-то? О.
This was the 5th mini stand, and this one was really something special. It was behind the boss's office. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Ты нашел ее.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
Последний остался. Блин, да как они это сделали? А вдруг я взял бы в другой последовательности? Как они определили, что мне надо именно так пройти?
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Забираем. Что у нас здесь? Телевизор. О, он мой маршрут показывает.
And then there was no more. Because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone.
И...
No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
Теперь ты в настоящем, а тут написано прошлое. Ну давай назад пойдем. Блин, игра, короче, вообще издевается над нами.
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember
Нахрен я эти статуэтки собирал?
this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going. I want more.
13,6. Мне на самом деле не нравится в играх собиралки. Это дополнительный способ удержать человека. Это бесполезная штука, если бы они давали что-то интересное. Я вспоминаю, как я в Alan Wake термосы и листы собирал. Листы, конечно, были интересны, а вот... Потому что они сюжеты рассказывали. А вот термосы — это вообще бесполезные собиралки. Или голуби в GTA. В 4-й части. Там нужно было 50 голубей расстрелять. Это такая трешанина была. Я это делал. Я на Xbox все ачивки выбил в 4-й GTA.
And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched?
Не надо!
Yes, I love that video.
Засранец.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room. These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have neutered the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Тут прохода нет.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it, the very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Так. О, большая фигурка.
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then, but time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. More memories.
Ну прыгать-то не заставят, надеюсь.
Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
Давай... Тут нет разницы, куда заходить. И мы вернулись
And
назад.
before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember. Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy, and I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions, he would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more
Да
run at the
хорош
office,
же,
and
ну.
then I'll retire him for good.
Отправим
I
его
did
на
enjoy
пенсию.
telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Телефон? Разве звонил телефон? Что это?
Good morning. Thank you for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,327 cardboard boxes to your place of work. Can you verify that this is correct? Excellent. Your order will arrive shortly. Thank you again for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation.
Коробки? Зачем нам нужны были коробки?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Да сколько можно?
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach. Giddy in a way, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Так, пойдем налево.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Лифт.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left. Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Это одна из концовок повторяется. Какой смысл в ней?
Down, right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Я уже забыл, что это за концовка.
No!
Концовка с перезапуском. Понятно. Можно сразу перезапускать. Где-то должна быть кнопка, которая эпилог нам показать должна. Я не знаю, как ее получить. Есть только один вариант. Это попробовать уточнить, каким образом можно добраться до эпилога. Надо игру, короче, выключить совсем. Печально. А у нас вообще есть возможность вернуться в новый контент?
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to
Можно попробовать получить концовку с этим, с летательным аппаратом. В прошлый раз мы
His boss's
ведро
office.
отправили. Ну,
Okay, I think we all...
о. Это что? Почему так странно все? Ладно, вернемся назад. Попробуем этот вариант со спасательной капсулой. Так, 760 этаж. Ну и, наверное, надо просто найти где-нибудь гайд, сейчас посмотреть, какие концовки я мог пропустить, если там что-то важное вообще есть. Посмотреть их и сходить в эпилог. В принципе, ну, большую часть мы уже видели. Включая новый контент. Но эпилог как раз финал. Так, поднялись. Мы теперь без ведра. А чё черный экран? Загрузка. Все, что ли? Эй! Я так не играю. Почему? Блин. Мы, скорее всего, все уже видели. Короче, есть еще одна, я так понимаю, концовка, где нужно...
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided
Сейчас
to go to the meeting
попробую.
room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Где нужно в кабинете начальника на лифте все-таки спуститься.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Что-то с кабинетом не то. Дверь сразу открылась.
Here's the door, just go.
Ха-ха, чё это он сразу открыл? Очень странно. Так. Можно подняться наверх.
Whoops. Nope. Never mind. Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly me. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out. Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow! I'm bolted to the edge of my seat.
Что, нам обратно вернуться?
Incredible. Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again. Ladies and gentlemen, how does he keep coming up with all of this?
Не, давай еще раз наверх.
Did you think we were going to go forward down the spooky corridor? No. It's time once again to go back up in the elevator. I can't even begin to grapple with what might be up there. Is it the boss's office again? Or what if it's the boss's office this time? The suspense is killing me.
Опять ничего не поменялось.
Oh my god. It's the boss's office. This absolutely changes everything for me. Give me a time out here for a minute while I process this. Okay, I'm ready. I'm prepared to embrace this stunning revelation and to move forward with... No! No, wait! No! I need more time to process.
Да хорош!
All right. I have fully come to terms with it. I have made space in my worldview for this astonishing new reality. As before, I turn to your expert eye for gripping narrative, Master Stanley.
Спускаемся вниз.
Of course. Going back down in the elevator. How did I not anticipate it? I mean, sure, now it's obvious, but you have to understand that 30 seconds ago, this kind of thing had never been attempted before. I had no frame of reference to even anticipate it. That's just how revelatory Stanley's decision-making is. A breath of fresh air in a landscape of storytelling that has grown stale and repetitive.
Нет, погнали наверх обратно. Задолбаем рассказчика.
You know what? I've just thought of something. Hold on, let's stop for a moment. Don't you realize? It's the anticipation, Stanley. You and I, we have no way of knowing what will be at the top of this elevator. But the suspense, the agony of waiting and anticipating and having to guess, that's the real thrill. Oh, I simply don't want to let that feeling go. It's so precious, so fleeting. Why don't we take this elevator ride nice and slow? There
Ты
we
шутишь,
go.
что ли?
Isn't this so much more exciting? You know, Stanley, it seems like nowadays the only thing that audiences want is to be shocked as loudly and frequently as possible. They want big, explosive moments flung right in their faces from the very moment that things get started. But where's the tension? Where's the trust in the audience to build a slow and nuanced appreciation for the story, the characters? Why aren't we given time to imagine the surprises, to have to think and to anticipate and then to marvel at the eventual reveal? This is storytelling, Stanley. What you and I are doing right now. This is the most exciting narrative to be developed in years, and it's really all because of you. You're the one who took this bold step of revisiting the exact same locations over and over. Truly, I mean it. This is unique and different. It's not like anything else out there. You see, I want stories that surprise me, Stanley. I want to have to think. I want to be engaged and not pandered to. We're being fed such unimaginative drivel all the time, and we all know it, which is why we're so starved for content that makes us feel sharp and vital and alive. That's why people like you so much, Stanley, because you're not afraid to spit in the face of tradition. You're a role model, you know? People look up to you. Which is why, oh, I didn't know when to spring this on you, but, well, I've gathered a little press conference for you so that you can talk about your work and your storytelling and your life. Yes, I know you're not much for the public eye, but I thought it would especially mean a lot to the people who have been following you from the beginning. They really look up to you, Stanley. I don't know if you realize the impact you have on them. This is the kind of gesture that might leave a tremendous impact on them for the better. Oh, good, we're here.
И что тут? О,
Okay, the room where we're holding the press conference should be just around the corner here somewhere.
как мы создали пирамиды.
Ah, yes, here it is, just through this door.
Угу. Что это у нас тут?
All right, are you ready? I've told them you're going to speak a little bit about the nature of surprise in storytelling and what it means to craft a truly unpredictable narrative. Oh, don't worry, you'll do great. Just be yourself and speak from the heart. I'm really proud of you, Stanley.
4-2-7.
Okay, it looks like they're ready for you. Go get them.
Брейк, Олег. Блин, вот эта фраза «сломай ногу», блин. А, тут книжка называется «Вверх и вверх». Блин, как его перевести на русский? Up again, down again. Опять вверх, опять вниз. Как-то так. Это про то, что мы на лифте туда-сюда катались. Хорошо. Чувак, который... Короче, интервью с человеком, который принес пиццу. Что за эти нелепые постеры? Что у нас здесь? Оу! Какой противный звук. Все. Да?
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was.
Короче, чтобы эпилог запустить, надо выйти на рабочий стол, я так понимаю, и запустить игру заново. Хорошо. Запускаю. Очень надеюсь, что там будет надпись «Эпилог». Мы вроде бы посмотрели все концовки возможные. Ну, кроме вот той, где надо 2 часа нажимать на кнопку. Так, он в прошлый раз похвалил за то, что мы точное время вводим, но я введу еще раз точное время. Посмотрим, что он на это скажет. Если он скажет, конечно, что-то. Ваше любимое время 5:45. Да. Или вы не смогли удержаться и снова выставили правильное? Я ведь знаю, как вам нравится выставлять точное время. Теперь мне интересно, точно ли сейчас 5:45? Тут нужен еще один ползунок. Насколько точное время 5:45? Не точно, точно. Точно. Вы знаете, неважно, насколько точно вы выставляете часы, мне просто нравится выбирать настройки. Я больше узнаю о вас и о том, какие настройки вы предпочитаете. Приятно собирать данные. Вот бы нам еще ползунков. Ну, кажется, у меня все кончились. Может быть, я придумаю новые ползунки, чтобы больше о вас узнать? Дело плевое. Сейчас накидаю пару новинок. К следующему запуску игры должны быть готовы. А где эпилог? Нас обманули.
This
Я же собрал все. Ну как так? Мне нужен эпилог. Может быть, я что-то не так сделал. Короче, это я нашел гайд. Это Степ. Нужно выйти из игры. Выйти совсем. И зайти в игру. Сколько? 5 раз приблизительно. Короче, заходим еще раз. Сейчас посмотрим. Пока он там не разберется с ползунками до конца. Только после этого, я так понимаю, можно будет добраться до эпилога. Сейчас все узнаем. Перетащите ползунок, пока компьютер не будет едва виден. Да все нормально. Тащите ползунок, пока кошка с собакой не подружатся. Серьезно. Тащите ползунок, пока цифра 5 не станет цифрой 9. А что тут есть? Смайлик. 9. Самолет. 9. Ну просто 9 тогда, ладно. Тащите ползунок, пока меню не поменяется. Ничего же не меняется. Какой из этих двух выдуманных слов нравится вам больше? Акубинка, скрумтуш. Скрумтуш. Не перетаскивайте ползунок. Нет, перетащу. Вы знаете, сколько сейчас времени? Да. Сейчас действительно столько времени? Тут не показано ничего. Да. Что такое время? Да, нет, да. Вы скрываете от меня какой-нибудь факт про себя? Да. Помогите. Да. Зайдите ко мне повидаться. Да. Выходим. Открываем еще раз игру. Посмотрим, что теперь. Я все ждал момента, когда игра сама закроется. Ну, то есть просто вот взяла и закрылась. Но такого не происходит тут. Видимо, нужно самим... Сколько времени? Кто-нибудь это знает точно? Разумеется, нет. Никто ничего не знает. Даже мы с вами друг друга не знаем. Мы как незнакомцы. Да, конечно, мы настроили игру под ваши требования, но кто делает по-другому? Это просто моя работа. А теперь она окончена. Вся информация собрана. О вас больше ничего нечего узнать. И все равно я вас не знаю. И вы не знаете меня. И мы не знаем, сколько сейчас времени. Видимо, некоторые настройки не настроить. Но если честно, часы все равно ничего не делают. При следующем запуске игры меня здесь не будет, но это ничего. Видеоигры были созданы для одиночек. Вам ведь нравится одиночество? Возможно, это единственная важная информация о вас. Что ж, мне пора идти. Есть еще одна настройка, которую нужно изменить, но мне нужно время, чтобы подготовиться. Это не совсем в моем описании работы, но это нормально. Возможно, вы увидите меня снова, если вы можете найти меня. Поговорите в ближайшее время. Эпилог появился. Вот он. Запускаем. Эпилог. Много-много лет спустя. Пустыня? А, он же в прошлый раз вышел как раз в пустыню. Там, где кнопка была с продолжить. На это вроде закончилось у нас все. А здесь-то что? Костер. Ну вот это... Зал памяти. Он же вроде. Дадут добраться туда? Воспоминания. Я люблю воспоминания. Что это? М. Я не знаю, что это такое. Это какой-то сайт, который глючный. Возможно, он должен быть на каком-то таком языке своем.
Jim. Jim. Jim.
А почему они с кракозябрами написано? Там, возможно, со шрифтом что-то не то. Кнопку... А, стоп, куда идти-то? Вот сюда, наверное. Кнопку придумал, которая имя игрока называется. Собиралки. Можно собрать их, интересно? 19, 20. Соберем их всех. 24. 26. Там что-то написано. Спасибо за то, что насладились новым контентом. И, видимо, все. Привет еще раз. Рад вас видеть. Но как грустно узнать, что больше не будет игр по Stanley Parable. Вы читали, что сказали разработчики? Сохранить целостность франшизы. Какая чушь. The Stanley Parable не священная корова, ее не надо беречь. К черту целостность. Давайте делать игры по Stanley Parable, пока солнце не взорвется. Загоним франшизу в могилу, а потом воскресим. Что люди подумают? А разве это важно? Это была главная проблема рассказчика. Ему было так важно, что подумают о его творениях. Не повторяйте его ошибку. Не цепляйтесь за старое. Пусть все горит. Это несложно. Давайте я покажу. Мы вместе сделаем The Stanley Parable 3. Это просто. Нужно только поменять номер на заставке. И еще какой-нибудь тупой подзаголовок, громкий и безвкусный. Попробуйте сделать из этого набора слов классное название для нашей игры. Stanley Parable 3. Стэнли и его ковбой. Разгромный вторник. Тот самый Скорпион. Доктор, инспектор, чулан. Теперь еще и... Выбрать-то, блин. Пусть будет тот самый сотрудник. Пофигу. За Stanley Parable 3 тот самый сотрудник. Полная чепуха. И это круто. С каждым запуском игры мы будем повышать номер сиквела на единицу и добавлять новый подзаголовок. И тогда The Stanley Parable не закончится. А в игре при этом вообще ничего не изменится. Над новыми материалами надо работать. Кому это нужно? Материалы будут все те же, снова и снова, просто с новой заставкой. Что скажете? Как вам такой план? Мне нравится, но и ваше мнение интересно. План плохой, план хороший. План плохой. Понимаю. Иногда мы не готовы идти вперед. Это ничего. Если передумаете и захотите запустить линейку сиквелов, заходите ко мне. Я буду ждать тут. И все? Давайте попробуем заново. Давайте опять белок попробуем. Где-то кто-то говорил, что если игру 8 раз перепройти, пролог, точнее не пролог, а эпилог. Сейчас, секунду. На экране, наверное, ничего не происходит. А нет, происходит. Короче, если 8 раз пройти эпилог, будет другая концовка. Но я что-то не очень хочу проверять. О, вот она, капсула, кстати. Спасательная. И ведро. Забираем ведро. 8 раз я этот эпилог точно не осилю. Мы сейчас просто ткнем. Хотя, блин, даже не знаю, как-то странно очень. Очень хочется посмотреть, что же они добавили-то. Одно и то же 8 раз перепроходить, это сложно. Ну ладно, не 8. Уже не 8. Блин, и вот наверняка нашлись люди, которые 2 часа нажимали на кнопочку. Чтобы потом еще 2 часа нажимать на кнопочку, чтобы получить концовку. Насколько должно быть много терпения у человека, кто этим занимался. Мне бы реально не хватило. Я бы даже минут 10 не сидел бы, не тыкался. Так. О, привет. Вы вернулись. Рад снова вас видеть. Решили, что все-таки попробуйте создать глупые названия для сиквелов. Как вам The Stanley Parable 3, Атомный Далай-Лама? Хотите прямо сейчас начнем? Давай. Отлично, договорились. Новый сиквел с каждым новым запуском. А знаете, раз уж вы поверили в мою идею, я хочу и вас кое-чем поощрить. Вижу, рассказчик так и не придумал, как выдать вам сломанное достижение, так? Ну, конечно, разумеется, он не справился. И меня это тяготит. Но мы это исправим. Вот, пожалуйста, теперь машина с достижениями работает. Видите? Мы на одной стороне. Мы команда. Мы капитаны этого корабля. The Stanley Parable не закончится. Она будет вечно идти по спирали. И я за этим прослежу. Я готов. Вы готовы? Отлично. У нас осталось всего одно дело. Видите текущее время. Ладно, так уж и быть. Перетащите ползунок пока. Все, перетащили. Спасибо, хорошей игры за Stanley Parable. О, вы запустили. О-хо-хо-хо. Stanley Parable 3, тот самый сотрудник. Это бредом, конечно, покажется, но есть смысл, наверное, попробовать все 8 раз эпилог запустить. Может быть, из этого что-то и выйдет. Осталось-то всего 6. Тем более, если там контент меняется в конце. Нам надо музыку убавить. Слишком громко. Блин, ну вот это вот ожидание очень долгое, когда ждешь, пока там откроется доступ к зоне. На самом деле, я не жалею о том, что я купил Ультра Делюкс. Оригинальную игру я до конца не изучил, а здесь хотя бы, ну, хоть какое-то удовольствие получил от игры. Серьезно. Весьма необычно было сделано, конечно, все. Мы дошли. Привет еще раз. Рад вас видеть. Ну как грустно узнать, что больше не будет игр. А, это повторяется, что ли? Ну блин. А почему повторяется-то? Мы сделаем The Stanley Parable 4. Ага, вот меняется где. Новый, крошечный, громадный, запрещенный, забытый, смертоносный. Электрод, паук, сотрудник, коллега. Диджериду. Огонь. Смертоносный огонь. Погнали. Полная чепуха. План хороший. Новый сиквел с новым запуском. Да задолбал ты, не буду я время вбивать. О, они меняют заставки. Смертоносный огонь. Стэнли Parable 4. Там же ничего не поменялось. Да? Нет.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Короче,
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
мы прошли как бы все концовки, какие интересные были. Я не буду эпилог сейчас 8 раз проходить. Это долго очень. И неинтересно на самом деле. Если вдруг кому-то интересно, наверняка на YouTube кто-то уже это сделал. Посмотреть, как на самом деле проходится эпилог. Вот. Я сейчас посмотрел гайд, и в гайде мы открыли все концовки, точнее, посмотрели все концовки. Кроме той, где кнопочку нажимать надо. Я не буду этим заниматься 4 часа времени. Вот. Причем там концовка меняется от того, приходишь ты с ведром туда или нет. То же самое в других концовках. Можно взять ведро, попробовать пройтись по всем старым локациям обратно. И концовка будет немного отличаться от оригинальной. Парой фраз буквально. Рассказчик скажет там про ведро, а не про Стэнли самого. Вот. Как бы я не стану этим заниматься, потому что, ну, как бы такой себе контент. Может быть, кому-то это интересно, но лично не мне. В целом, Местами она аж бесит, да. В целом, как бы по игре могу сказать так, что мне оригинальная идея Stanley Parable понравилась, но я ее забросил, я там буквально минут 40, наверное, поиграл. Потому что я не знал, куда идти, а в гайды я не заглядывал. И то, что сейчас доработали игру, выпустили ее в таком виде, тоже неплохо. И то, что стебаются они там над собой, и рассказчик очень клевый в целом. И вот эти вот, сколько я там, ну, получается, почти 5-6 часов, которые я провел за игрой, мне, ну, мне понравились. Несмотря на то, что, да, там были косяки, но больше приятных, как бы, моментов. Вот. По игре, наверное, все. Спасибо за то, что смотрели. Надеюсь, вам тоже понравилось все. Следующий стрим у нас запланирован на завтра. И я сам не знаю, что стримить, если честно. У нас висит Elden Ring, у нас висит еще второй Мор. И хочется что-то новое попробовать. Честно, не знаю. Если вдруг идеи будут у кого-то, что постримить или еще что-то, пишите в Телеграм. Если вдруг вы смотрите это видео в записи или на Твиче, в описании к каналу моему есть ссылка на Телеграм, чат. Я там отвечаю, общаюсь, пишу про стримы будущие. Можете написать туда, предложить что-то. Тот список, который мне до этого предлагали, он у меня есть. Я из этого списка часть игр уже просмотрел, выписал себе, что интересно. И все это в бэклоге оказалось. Когда-нибудь мы до всего этого доберемся, включая то, что я изначально хотел постримить. Но это уже посмотрим по времени. Надеюсь, мне не надоест стримить. Пока что нет. Вот. На сегодня все. Спасибо за то, что пришли еще раз. Увидимся завтра. Все, всем хорошего вечера. Пока-пока.